well, meaning the Racetrack Business Conference. But like a lot of folks in the racing industry, we have tried to be more diverse in our panelists and everything else. And I think we've finally gotten it better over the last 5 years, and it keeps getting better each and every year. And the folks on the stage are a big part of that reason, because they've been great advisors to us. So first, from the Aero Marketing Group, Jill, please introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, and I guess we're not the most popular panel in the universe, or was that dessert so good everybody kind of hung out?
They're taking a nap.
Yeah, or taking a nap. Yeah, you can't take one yet. Sorry, Cindy. I'm Jill Campbell. My claim to fame is, quite frankly, that I have been in the motorsports business for 35 years. As I told my cohorts here earlier, I'm only 36 years old, so it's been for most of my life. I started off promoting events in Portland, Oregon, at Portland International Raceway, and then got very fortunate in being the CEO of WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca for 20 years. And now in my glory years, there we go, I'm working as Director of Business Development for a company called Aero Marketing Group. So I'm still in motorsports. We have clients such as Michelin and McLaren, Porsche, and we do everything experiential marketing, from hospitality to temporary structures to you name it, we do it. I am a woman who loves the sound of cars. Just wanted to put that out there. I don't know many women who don't.
Dang, and I thought you were a duck at the University of Oregon.
There was that one time.
That came at lunch day. We're going to start a new thing, is tell us something deep and dark that nobody knows about. For me, I've been in the motorsports industry a long time as well. I actually was born into it. My father worked at General Motors, and I was so proud to be the cool girl in high school with a 64 and a half Mustang and then a 68 Camaro, and that was pretty cool. But I started in motorsports with Gatorade. I used to be the Gatorade lady, and then I was the Ray-Ban lady, and then Roush Racing recruited me, and I moved to Mooresville, North Carolina, and started the first ever marketing department for any NASCAR team. Went on and kind of retired a little bit from motorsports, but not really, and was a managing director of the U.S. Postal Service cycling team with Lance Armstrong. And it was really cool to marry four wheels with two wheels. During COVID, I got back into the automotive agency world. I created an agency focused on advocating for women in the automotive industry. And I was really proud to do test drives with over 400 women. Most of them show up and they're scared to death because they don't feel empowered to drive a Ferrari. But I've sold about 10 Ferraris, and I think it's really cool that women can drive Ferraris. Moving on, started the first ever Women's Summit at, I wish Jason was in here, because we started at the Nashville Speedway, moved on to Charlotte, hooked up with this lady over here, created the foundation, Women in Motorsports North America, which I'm really proud to be the executive director. The last thing I'm really proud of, and if you want to see these, I'm a documentarian with Pam Miller, 8-time Emmy Award winner for Fox. Every March we launch a new documentary on a woman in the industry that nobody knows about. It's called Left Behind. And we're just weeks away from finishing Shirley Moe Downey, and it's going to change the NHRA world. We're very excited about that.
And the first two, who are the first two about? Tell them.
Oh, Betty Skelton. Okay, has anybody ever heard of Betty Skelton?
Mm-hmm. I'm cheating.
Yeah. Well, I know Brian has, because he had me show it at the National Corvette Museum. Amazing. How about Paula Murphy? One. Sadly, that's so sad. She's still alive. She's 95. She was the first woman in 1963 to test drive at Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Wow.
First woman to get an NHRA license, too. And nobody knows her story. Sad.
So these documentaries are important. Instead of just walking by a plaque in a museum, you make these people come to life and their stories come to life. So please Maybe, I don't know if you send a follow-up email, we can send you the links and the names of these documentaries, because they're great watching. So my name is Beth Peretta. I own an IndyCar team called Peretta Autosport. We would have announced by now, but what our future plans are, so don't ask me, because you'll be the first to hear, but it'll be soon that we'll make an announcement. But in 2022, so what's unique about my team, if you haven't heard of us, is we're mostly women. So I've woman-owned, woman driver, women crew, engineers. My entire commercial team is women. And so we launched in 2021. We're in the Indy 500, and it was the first time in history that there was a majority women's team that qualified and ran in the race. We have crew jerseys in the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Museum because of it, so that's kind of cool, even though it's closed right now and you can't go see them, but when it reopens, you'll see them. And in 2022, I launched with Lynn St. James, Women in Motorsport North America, and I will tell you that, like, back several years ago when I was launching my team, I had the whiteboard of kind of all the things that were kind of the goals, like the short-term, mid-term, long-term goals, and a professional organization for women was on that whiteboard. Mostly because, again, as a woman in the industry, now my background is in automotive. Prior to starting my own race team, I worked for Fiat Chrysler. I ran the performance division called SRT, the business of SRT, as well as the business of all of motorsport for Fiat Chrysler, so all the global motorsport programs. And the women in racing, we tend to know each other because there aren't many of us, and then we kind of see each other and have that little knowing nod and wink and secret handshake. Yes, there's a secret handshake. You guys just don't know that it happens, but there is one. But the idea was that we needed a way to connect with each other and ideally bring more women into the industry, like those women that are just starting out, be able to pair up to find mentors and just sort of be an advocacy group for getting more women in the sport. And although we talk about why does this matter? Why does women in motorsport matter? What we're going to talk about this next half hour is just what Women in Motorsport North America does, and give you some ideas of maybe the ways that you can expand your business, because ultimately the purpose of Women in Motorsport is it's not just recruiting an engineer or just getting the next driver. As we all know, there's a whole segment, we have this amazing, unique sport that there's this entire professional side, but there's also this enormous amateur side that goes on as well. And it needs a lot of people to make it work. And so there's a lot of space for a lot of talented, passionate people. And one of the ways that we can expand that is by recruiting and letting women know that this is a place for them, that they could really have either careers or part-time gigs that they will love and enjoy. And ideally, if we're successful at that, then we're going to have a healthy, sustainable industry for years to come, and we get to keep doing this for a living. And that's honestly the big secret, right? How do we keep doing this for a living? And diversity and growing the women in the sport is one of those ways. I just want to start with just a couple of questions, and then also we're going to open up for questions at the end, because ideally what I think is most important with any of these panels and any of these discussions is how does it relate to your business? So let's ask those specific questions, and let's kind of share best practices or make sure that we're networking you to the people you need to network to, so that it makes an impact when you go home, because that's why you come to these things. But Jill, although you're 36 and you've been in the business 35 years, how would you say you've actually witnessed how women in motorsport has kind of changed, maybe evolved in the past 20 years? Like, anecdotally, what have you seen?
To give you an idea, when I started off in the industry, there were literally 35 women in leadership roles. Last month, we were privileged to be at the Women in Motorsport Summit in Phoenix, and there were 437 attendees. And I have goosebumps just thinking about it, to be absolutely honest with you, because when I started off, you were either in public relations or you were a secretary, and there were only 2 female promoters in the country, and it was Michelle Truman and myself. And it was like, okay, where's everybody else? So a lonely world. But now I look out there and it is phenomenal. It really is. And from every single discipline known to man. One of the things that I mentor a lot of students and young drivers, And it's always, what do you do in your business now? If you're a waitress, good evening, my name is Jill, it's customer service. You translate that over. Well, this can happen in motorsports. No, there is nothing that is out of the realm of possibility for anyone to do in the world of motorsports. So watching that grow and watching and seeing women take leadership roles, I was shocked to find out that NASCAR has female promoters. Good God, the world has really come around.
Many of them too.
It's awesome.
Many of them too, not just one or two.
I know there's
several.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, there's hope.
There is. And so one of the things that we did, Women in Motorsport North America, we've had several events. We have had outreach events. Two of the things that we did this year, we had events at the track, kind of like a Racing 101. And so, Cindy, actually, you were not even at the Indianapolis one. We had one. So this, I will say, the spark of this idea actually came from Bosch Motorsports. So it's wonderful when you have a partner that says, "Hey, we want to do something, but what does this look like?" So we had conversations with them to kind of plan. All right, how are they going to reach out? Now, why a company like Bosch wants to get more women interested in racing is ultimately they want to hire people. So if they can talk to high school and college age, they're just trying to kind of plant the seed that maybe these people might get a mechanical engineering, electrical engineering degree and come work for Bosch. So it's self-serving in a good way. But the nice thing is they had this idea of, all right, let's do something at a Formula E race in Portland, and let's also do something at the IMSA race at IMS. So we literally created a 2-day program, and I'm going to just tell you a little bit about what the ingredients were, because this is something that you guys might be able to replicate, where we basically announced that this program was going to happen, and these young ladies had to apply. So it's just an easy one-pager. In fact, we put that together through us with WIMNA with our website, where they basically put in a few questions, and then they also explained why they wanted to come. They put a little effort in, right? So we selected these 25 women, and it was a 2-day program, and they also, of course, got tickets to the race. So this is the IMSA race weekend at Indianapolis. Interestingly, most of these women were IndyCar and Formula One fans. They really didn't know anything about sports car. So they were sort of like going outside their comfort zone. But of course, an IMSA paddock is a treasure trove of information. And we do have this phenomenon right now, right? There's a lot of people that have watched Drive to Survive, and they say, I want to be Toto Wolff. That's adorable.
No, Susie Wolf.
Well, she's not in Drive to Survive, not in the same kind of capacity. But yeah, but they see Toto Wolff, or they see Gunther Steiner, and they think, or they want to be a race engineer, right? And so it's that idea, like, okay, there's a zeitgeist right now. Let's take that. If there's a 15-year-old that sees that and thinks it's exciting, let's see, what they can do. Because maybe, like, listen, we just listened to Jason saying he kind of fell into this in a circuitous route. Many of us in this room kind of have similar stories. Well, you might have the idea that you want to be a race engineer in Formula One, but maybe that leads to you running Laguna Seca one day, right? So let's just take all of the excitement and strike while the iron's hot, as it were. So we had these 20 women come to Indianapolis, and we ran them ragged, because we basically like, all right, you want to work in racing? You're going to be here by 8 a.m. We're going to keep you on your feet until 6 p.m. You're going to go home, and you're going to be here tomorrow at 8 a.m. And we made sure that they were exhausted, so they really got a feel for it. And what was fantastic is when we say exposing students to what's going on a race weekend or an event weekend, you can do this at your facility as well. We showed them race control, timing and scoring, medical, media center, because remember, it's not just, the idea is if you've got them there, show them a little of everything. The fact that there is PR and marketing and journalism, and you could be a trauma surgeon and work part-time in racing because you just happen to be a racing fan. And it's that moment where that you just see the light bulb go off that, oh my gosh, this is an industry. It's not just what I've been seeing on Netflix. So I'd encourage you to, even on a smaller scale, where can you find those people in your community? You can go to local universities. Another secret one to go to is go to local community colleges. Community colleges are desperate for that out-of-classroom experience, and nobody is really knocking on their door. And if you could come to, if you could contact them and say, hey, listen, we're going to have a day, we're having an HPDE day. What if you have a couple of engineering students or engineering-interested students come by? These are people that, again, they might not have ever considered this. And, okay, maybe they might consider it as a career, But at the very least, maybe you've created a fan, because certainly as promoters and track operators, you have a twofold thing. You're trying to find employees, but you're also trying to find people who are going to buy tickets, watch on TV, and again, this all takes a village. The other last thing I want to mention is, as we're crafting these ideas, again, we're still, our organization's only existed for about 1.5 years, so we're trying things on for size, figuring out what works in different regions. And one thing that has worked really well so far, and it's just started and it's growing and the future is bright, we actually have a partner in the Northeast with Lime Rock Park. Dickie Regal's here, president of Lime Rock Park. And early on, after we started WIMNA, he's on our working group. We had a working group, in fact, Rod Reed is here from Force Indy in the back. He was on our working group in the beginning, where we had a cross-section of 45 people, men and women, when we were trying to figure out, okay, what is women in motorsport? What are our goals? What do we want to do? Or we kind of think we know the goals, but are we missing anything? And then how do we craft a strategy? And obviously, the United States is huge. We have multiple disciplines. We have multiple, the regionality nuances that we all have to deal with. How are we going to be consistent? And Dickie Regal raised his hand and said, what if we could be a Northeast hub for WIMNA? And I said, okay, this would be fantastic. We said, thank you very much. And we would like to replicate that. So we'd like to have those regional hubs in different corners of the United States so that the smaller and medium-sized facilities might kind of hatch an idea. We can all work together, best practices, figure out the best way to kind of share our customer bases, our employee network, and really just grow this industry as a whole. Cindy. Beyond the summit, so the summit, why don't you tell everybody kind of what the summit is, and then also some of the other things that we do through the year beyond the summit.
Sure. Thank you so much. You all have a little card there, and this is going to be our 4th summit. This last year was at Phoenix Raceway about a month ago. As Jill said, we had 437 attendees. 3rd event to sell out. My biggest pet peeve is telling people to make sure you sign up early, because it's really fun for me to tell people that it's sold out. We had 58 sponsors. We had 8 countries represented. Our mix is about 80% female, 20% male. And everybody, there is not one person that doesn't come away with either a new job, a new networking opportunity, and a new sponsorship opportunity. That's our core business. But 2 other really exciting programs that we launched this year that will continue for next year is our She-Row program. And She-Row is part of a partnership with Jostens. And we're asking the Milwaukee Mile, you might have a gal that's worked at your track for 20 years. Have you ever thanked her the right way? So you are going to write us a check for $165. She's going to get a beautiful trophy with her name on it as a Shiro. You're going to send us 250 words or less why she's your Shiro. And 1 woman is selected to come to the summit, all expenses paid. The other event.
So if you nominate or the person you will get the award, and then we look at all of them nationally and then select a national winner. Right. So it's not, if you want to recognize your person, it's a guarantee that you're recognizing your local Shiro.
Right. Yeah. The other big program we launched this year, it's called Accelerate Her. It's a $200,000 contingency fund, base contingency fund for girls 21 years and older. That's right. And first
Bush
prize,
Light, so it has to be 21 and older.
I was going to say that, but well, I'm hoping we can come up with some more money for somebody else. But in addition to them, we're very appreciative. But first prize this year was $125,000. Julie Jorgensen up in Minnesota won. Her best friend Taylor Goldman won $50,000, and they race at the same track, and they felt like them racing for this money really made them much more competitive. And then the 3rd place was $25,000, Julie Hall down in Tucson, Arizona. So we're going to be relaunching that again. If you know any young ladies, 20, why do I keep saying 18?
Because most are 18.
Yeah.
So Bush Light launched a program, and we're basically administrating it for them because we have the resource and the knowledge. Again, we have companies and sponsors that want to help women, they don't know how. So it's kind of, if you have people in your region that want to help and they don't know how, call us. We can maybe come up with some ideas.
Yeah, that's what we like to do, is come up with some ideas.
It's an onion. I think last year when we had the summit, and Cindy said, now, we had 300 attendees. Next year I want 400. I asked her what she wanted for the next one, and it was 800, so you'd all better be there. But the one thing that I have learned from being involved in Women in Motorsports North America is not only the inspirational aspect of it, which it is incredibly inspirational, the educational aspect of it, the opportunity aspect of it. I got 2 pieces of business from the summit that we did. So there are enormous opportunities by, I was almost going to say exploiting, I meant exploring women in motor, maybe they go together, I don't know, but Women in Motorsports North America, and these guys do an incredible job, and like I say, it is an onion, because when you peel back, there's a lot more onion, and they keep coming up with great ideas, and they have a formula that really works, and it can be applied in your area, in your facility, and trust me, it works.
Do you want to tell them about next year's summit?
Yeah, I did. It's here.
Yeah, but like do we know like who we want to like? Is it before PRI or after PRI?
Oh, well, it'll be December 9th and 10th.
Yeah.
So it'll be right before PRI. Where's Tim? We're hoping maybe with RTBC. I mean, why not? Kind of combine some resources there together. Location is TBD so far. Just have to sort out the details. That's why I've been here early this week, is to figure out where to do it. We have many people that want to host us right now, so it's very exciting. That's part of the deal is if you're going to have it in your city, you have to host us. That means pay for almost everything but the food and the AV. So we've been very blessed to have great partners. Here's the program. Hold this for 1 second. If you want to see it. Oh, I was a cheerleader, so I can talk pretty loud, but just to see all the people, we had 98 speakers, 7 keynoters. It's pretty amazing. You might want to look at this. I've got copies over there in case you're looking to hire somebody. We've got a pretty huge database.
So, and we also have a website, womeninmotorsportsna.com, and so it's a great resource. It's an aggregator of information. So, by all means, if at your facility or at your venues, at events, if somebody comes to you and they're a young woman who's maybe interested in just learning more, just direct them to our website. It's just an aggregator of information. And with that, if you also have job listings or events that you're promoting, let us know and we can put it on our website so we can help drive traffic back to you. We're just trying to get smarter about this, and it's just like a learning thing. We're not always, we're all never going to do everything perfectly, but it's the idea of being deliberate that matters, because ideally it's going to help expand your fan base and your employees.
Beth, before we open things up to the audience, and if you've got a question, please raise your hand high and I'll get the mic to you. I've got just a toss-up question for whoever wants to comment. Talking about the stats of when you came into the business, Joe, and how few people there were, women in motorsports, and now the numbers are grown. Have you three found this industry to be more welcoming as future generations come along? Absolutely.
I mean, I would love to share a story that I was told one time by a NASCAR person that he would never work with a female promoter. And thank God those days are gone. That I don't even think about it anymore. I don't think about my gender. We're here to do a job. And that job is in motorsports. And, the only thing I will say is I came to the United States 47 years ago for a month. I went to Laguna for 2 months as an interim CEO, and I stayed for 20 years. Don't ever invite me to your house for dinner, because I may never leave. But the truth of the matter is, I have been so welcomed, and I really do appreciate it, and I have friends all over the world as a result of the industry I work in. I couldn't be any more blessed.
I echo that too. I started my career, one of my chapters was a stockbroker, and it was a pretty male-dominated business, and I felt comfortable there. And I kind of hate it when people say, well, how did the men treat you? They treated me great. It's all about how you manage the relationship, and the motorsports industry has been absolutely welcoming, supportive. I'm so proud to be in the role I am right now, because it's not just about the women, it's about the men and the women working together as allies. Number one.
Yeah, I think it's like more subtle things, but is there progress? Yeah, and women weren't allowed into the garages at Indianapolis Motor Speedway until 1971. The first woman permitted was a journalist, and no, it was not Judy Stropus, but it should have been Judy Stropus. But it was, it was 1971. Women weren't even allowed in the garages, and then in 2021, I had a team that was 70% women. So that seems like a big achievement, but hold on, it still took 50 years.
Yes.
71 doesn't feel like that long ago. It's over 50 years ago, so it still took 50 years. So it's subtle, but I think now you're seeing like this huge accelerating curve, so good for all of us. And like literally, I mean, yes, okay, yay for the women. No, good for you, because it's good for your business.
A weird situation happened last week, and I'm not going to name names because it's going to come out in the news very soon. But there was a young lady test driving at a certain track. I don't think they're here. And there was a Formula One driver kind of judging this test. And he told the women, you shouldn't be really driving a race car. He was very ugly in the morning. The woman at the end of the day that did the best, I have a copy of his text, said, you were the first woman that could literally drive an F1 car today.
Wow.
And it was just so weird to hear, why would you even say that? And then to see this email saying, finally, a woman that could actually drive an F1 car. So maybe you'll see something sooner than later.
When you consider that men have been in the workforce for hundreds of years, and actually women have only really been in the workforce since the end of World War II, we've come a long way. And we've got a hell of a long way to go. But look out, because we're ready and prepped for it.
Question back here.
This is fantastic, and I'm hearing some parallels between the struggles that you guys faced and a lot of what I hear in higher education regarding trying to get women into STEM fields. I sit in on a lot of meetings where leaders in higher ed are talking about strategies to try and bring in more women into these fields. And are we just doing this wrong? Because the strategies are just maybe slight variations of the things that we've been doing for decades and centuries to get male engineers and male scientists. So is there a mindset shift that needs to happen? Or what are your thoughts on that?
It's literally why I created my team, was to get more women, to get more young women to consider the careers. And so basically my team is for 10-year-olds. And the idea that connecting what you see to what you're studying in the classroom, because we were doing a poor job about, I always say engineering could do with a bit of marketing, because it's such a broad word and a lot of people don't know what it really means and what you do all day. So I think lifting the veil on what you do all day makes it far more tangible for a young kid, and you can affect a kid's trajectory of what they want to be when they grow up between 10 and 12. It's kind of the witching hour. So usually kids aspire to be what they see. They aspire what they see their parents do, or the big careers, doctor, lawyer, fireman, because it's very visible. So this idea of making what goes on with either a race team, and I don't expect that everybody's going to grow up and be on a race team, because we don't need everybody. But if it sparks your interest enough that you're going to pay a little bit more attention in school, or maybe speak up, and maybe your parents get you a tutor when you might fall off a little bit in math class when you're 11 years old, because it does matter, great. And then you go into a mechanical engineering program, but then you pivot and you go and get a job for Boeing, I'm taking that as a win. So it's the idea of, and there has been a paradigm shift where if you were to talk to Boeing or General Motors or whatever, literally 9 years ago, because this is when I started these conversations, and say, you need to invest in programs for middle schoolers, they would all say, great idea, but like the ROI is just too long tail, like we can't justify that, because they would just have a budget to go to, college fairs to just recruit. We need to hire 10 people. And so it was a very, cause and effect budget that was allocated for that. So the idea of spending money on a program where that maybe they would, get the positive outcome 15 years later was harder to stomach. But now that all industries have realized that it takes a village, so Boeing is happy to spend, and General Motors is happy to spend, and it's going to come out in the wash. So that Now, that's happening now. We're going to hopefully see the result of that in another 10 years. But that action has only probably really happened in the past 6 or 7 years.
My co-host here on stage, Jamie, has developed these wonderful events, the Women's Motor Fest, 3 of them last year, and I know it's going to be even bigger next year. I attended the event in Detroit.
So did Cindy.
Yep. And I'll admit, okay, I was going to this event with my eyes wide open. Okay, is this going to be a ball busting the men event, or is this going to be all inclusive? It was the most all inclusive event that I've ever been to, and it was fantastic. I know that you have a question for the panel.
Well, first of all, you said it quickly, but if I remember right, $225,000 in scholarships given?
It's a $200,000.
$200,000 total.
It's not a scholarship, it's a merit-based contingency fund. So it's based on the performance of starts, finishes, laps. It's a performance contingency fund.
Can we give them a round? That's huge. And here's where I'm going with this. I'm literally driving here this morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, listening to my book. And the book that I'm listening to is Malcolm Gladwell, Outliers. If any of you have ever read the book, if you haven't, I strongly recommend it. It changes your perspective on a lot of things. One of the things that he talks about in there is to get to a level of expertise. It takes 10,000 hours of practice. 10,000 hours. That works out to be about 3 hours a day, right? So how does this all tie in? And Beth, I've overheard you talking about this seat time. Why don't we have more professional female drivers?
Yeah, usually at the same level on the rungs of the ladder, the women have had less seat time than the men, consistently. And so like this Yahoo that made that comment about the first woman ever possible to drive an F1 car, he hasn't seen enough women behind the wheel, because there have been other women that are more than capable of driving F1 cars. They don't get opportunity. That's the difference. And so this is what we need to make the space for opportunity.
Yes.
Let me add to that, and thanks to Dickie over here. You know, when we made the announcement, it's like, okay, so we're the official, Lime Rock is the official headquarters for women. What does that mean? We have a meeting tomorrow to talk about seat time. We want to create HPDE days. How many of you are tracks in here? Oh my God, you're all of our future clients. There's such a desire, not just to be professional drivers, but old ladies like me. I went to Skip Barber at Lime Rock this year. It changed my life, just like the Ferrari test drives.
Have any of you had a women's only HPDE day yet? Yep.
Rock on. We're coming.
Excellent. Good.
If you're interested.
Good. Yeah.
We want to do them all. Yeah, Tim, we're coming to you too. There was the Washington group here earlier. Why not? And it's just not those that want to be professional.
And remember, this
drivers.
isn't about like segregating the day. There are some women that just don't see themselves doing it. So after they do that first HPDE day, they might go to your co-ed days, or maybe they never do. Either way, they're on your track, right? So it's fantastic. And so please share best practices with each other.
I think to address your earlier question too is awareness. And the one thing that Women in Motorsports North America is doing and has done successfully is to create awareness, not just for the fact of its women in motorsport, but for this sport. We are here to promote the growth of motorsports, and we'll do it with or without anybody else, but it is a collaborative effort on our part to do it, to make awareness there for people who want to get into whether it's engineering or technical world, which is way over Cindy's and my head, because I know she feels the same way. But there are so many opportunities. So that awareness is exactly what's going to get everybody there.
All right. We could devote an entire 8.5-hour day to
We will next year, December, right here.
and I'll be there.
MAV TV is doing a special on us. Look for it. It's in January. 3 1.5-hour specials on what we're doing with women in motorsports and the highlights from the summit. So you can go onto our website, you can see all the things we're doing. Also, if you want to be in our database, so you can see what we're doing, just Cindy at womeninmotorsportsna.com, Cindy at womeninmotorsportsna.com, and we'll put you in our database. And if you have any ideas, we're all open. We're all ears.
Let us know about events that you're having. We'd love to be able to promote them with you as well, please. Thanks.
All right, Jill, final word.
Don't let any of the struggles that anyone has experienced put you off, because they haven't me. And I am seeing a whole world of opportunities that I am welcoming and embracing. And I look forward to seeing all of you at your tracks in the near future. Thank you.
Cindy.
Yeah, I want to thank all those in the room, that I've had the opportunity to work with over the years. Many of you, 30 plus years, that guy right there in the back. We're here for you, and we just want to grow the sport.
Beth, final word.
Thank you, Tim, for giving us this space and including us. And thank you to all of our allies who are committed to working hard with us. We appreciate you.
It's amazing when you talk about the 50-year progression. In my college days in 1979, I had a woman on my intramural basketball team and was told I couldn't have her on the team because she was not a man. And I said, she's my best shooter. You can't take her away from me. And we pushed for that. I'm a girl dad. You know, I raised 2 girls, and it was important to have women like this on the stage that people can see so they understand that this industry is open to them as well. What did we learn from this panel? First of all, I learned that they're all incredible women that I'm glad have all been great supporters of RTBC in the past and I know in the future. But we learned that motorsports is actually becoming more welcoming to women with every generation, and that really is good news. Why does WINMA matter? Well, opening up the sport to women who might not know that their expertise is needed is very important, and that they are welcome in this space, because we're 2023 and it's still not that case in some entities out there. And why does WINMA matter to your business? That's what we're here about. It's about business. Well, it can attract new talent, and Lord knows it's tough finding help nowadays. The junior college comment, that was brilliant. That's where I get my interns for the radio station. It's a great opportunity, and they're just begging for something to do over there and get those active jobs in the industry. And also it can help your bottom line. That's what we're all here about. If it doesn't add to the ROI, it wouldn't make sense to business owners, but it's such a lightly tapped market. And if a woman who wants to get involved in motorsports sees a sport that looks a lot more like her, I think it will open doors for business opportunities as well. Let's give them a big hand.